thing. Is that going to cause you a problem? Good morning. This is Margaret from the University of Sewing at the Tailored Fit, and this is Facebook Live. We wanted to show you some really fun things this morning. I am expecting a lot of new fabrics to come in, but if you've watched the news at all, you've seen how the container ship thing has been slowing shipments down. Slow. Anyway, so what we thought we would do this morning is show you some of the wonderful new patterns we've just gotten in. And we wanted to show you them with some of the fabric we have in the store to give you some ideas. And I want to reiterate to any of you who know us, if you see a pattern, if you see quilting pattern or a clothing pattern and you're not sure what fabric to put with it, that's what we do. We love to help you do that. Now, of course, we need to talk to you so that we can figure out your taste. But once we know your taste and what you enjoy, then we can pick out the appropriate fabric for any clothing pattern that you'd want to be able to get. And we can also help you pick out materials for a quilting pattern. So today I've got some really cool patterns to show you and some fabrics to go with them. And we're going to start looking at them. All of these things are available on our website. And if you don't remember, the website's super easy. universityofsewing.com. That's all there is to it. Our phone number, if you have any issues, you're having a problem with the website, you're having problems figuring out which fabrics you want to do, you're not sure about what is on the back of the pattern. I try to make sure that we put the backs of the patterns on our website, but sometimes that gets missed because I'm not the only one who does that. And so if that gets missed and you don't see the yardages and things, don't worry. I'm happy to get that picture for you and send it to you right away. And we can do that via email, so you can get it just almost instantaneously. So our phone number, 812-323-2665. Now, don't call it right now. I'm here and I'm talking to you and Dave is filming me and there's no one else in the shop. Wait until after 10 o'clock when we're done with this, and then there'll be people here to answer the phone. So let's get started. First of all, I wanted to show you this really cool book we've got, which is called Cakewalk. So Cakewalk, what would Cakewalk be about? How about layer cakes? If you're a quilter, you know what layer cakes are. If you're not really much of a quilter, but you're curious, turns out that there's these wonderful things called layer cakes. And I'm going to show you one of those. And this is a layer cake. So look at this beautiful group of floral fabrics, and they are really gorgeous. Turns out there is 42 10-inch squares in here. And this book that I just showed you is all about using those layer cakes. Now, do you have to use layer cakes? Of course not. You can certainly cut this up and do this with just buying yardage. And the neat thing about this book is they explain both. They tell you what to do if you've got a layer cake. They tell you what to do if you're using yardage. And I wanted to show you a couple of the really pretty quilts in it. I just think that's gorgeous. And the really cool thing about this is these blocks could be fussy cut from a fabric, and you could make the star of the quilt basically in the squares here. And if you just have some really beautiful fabric and you want to include into this, this is using, again, they've set it up for layer cakes, but obviously you don't have to do that. There's another quilt in here that I just thought was absolutely gorgeous. Now, if you look at this, they've even used around the border the different fabrics. So this is, I'm gonna guess, I don't know for a fact, but I'm gonna guess this is a 2.5 or a 3.5 inch strip. So what you can do is you can take what's left over from your layer cake blocks and you can cut strips off of them to make this beautiful border. The cool thing about this one is it made me think about one of the groups of fabric we have here, and what I was thinking about is everything but the kitchen sink. Now, I've got that set up in that quarter bundles, and I'm going to pull, uh-oh, it came apart. Oh, Denise is going to beat me. She does such a nice job putting these together, and I messed it up. So we're going to pull this one. That one will clean up in just a little bit. So I told you, if it can go wrong, it goes wrong during Facebook Live. So look at these gorgeous colors right here. And Dave, maybe you can kind of get a more in-depth shot of those. But if you look at these really pretty colors right here, that would make the prettiest. I mean, you could take this quilt right here and that would just be gorgeous. So that's what I was thinking when I saw this one. I thought, oh my gosh, everything but the kitchen sink would make the prettiest quilt using this. We've got another group of fabric called Serenity, and Serenity would be really pretty in this too. I love these pastels and how sweet and nice this is. What a beautiful baby quilt this would make. It just is, it's one of those kind of quilts that just warms your heart. So that is Cakewalk by Lessa Alexandra. I think that's pronouncing her name right. It's Lissa. And that book, of course, is available on our website. So if you think that you would like a book like this to use up all those wonderful layer cakes you have, that is a great book. Now, we just got another pattern in, and this pattern is from Amanda Murphy. Now, I really like this pattern. I think this is the sweetest quilt. It kind of reminds me of the Amish quilts. Those of you who've studied quilting at all, you may know about the Amish quilts. They used black backgrounds, and they usually use solids. Now, this was made, obviously, with a print. But the wonderful thing about this is this is made up using a background fabric and a layer cake. And it is just the most beautiful pattern. And you could do this in several different colorways, I think. And I'm going to show you some ideas I had for this because I just thought this was such a good quilt for a variety of reasons. What I was thinking is, what if you took our Blue Line by Marcia Durst, and she's got these beautiful blue fabrics, and we put it on this black background. Now, wouldn't that quilt be absolutely amazing? And then on the bottom and the top, what you could do is you could go ahead and use the yardage from that, because we have the yardage, but you could use a fat quarter bundle to do this. And one of the other things I noticed when I was looking at this is that the yardage, the way that this is done, you could actually use a one of these guys. I remind myself the names of these. The jelly roll. Now think about this for a second. How cool is this? It turns out that all these different parts of this pattern, they're made up of 2.5 inch wide strips. Guess what? It's already cut for you. So we've got these wonderful jelly rolls, and look how beautiful this would be on the black background. But the really cool thing is, when you work with something like this, you can make a decision. You could use, say, a pink background or a blue background. So if black's not your gig and you don't think that would be what you'd want, what I was thinking is, why not use something else? And so, I mean, just look at how gorgeous those colors would stand out on the black. But the really cool thing about fabrics like these is you don't have to do it just that way. I'm going to go run and get one piece of fabric because I forgot to do it. I'm going to be right back. I'm coming back. I'm back. Okay, I'm back. So, look at that on it. Isn't that gorgeous? So, there's lots of ways to do this. You are not obligated to use a black background. Please don't think so, because this would look really pretty in lots of different backgrounds. So one of the other ways I thought that this would be really cool, and I wanted to show you, is we have this Northcott line called Bliss. And look at these colors. And again, if what we wanted to do is, if we really liked that black background and we thought that was cool, look at that. Aren't those gorgeous against that? That would be really pretty. So let's try a completely different tack though. Let's go ahead and what if you used these fabrics? You've got this is our line from Free Spirit called Cattails. And it's got these really cute cats, and they're doing all kinds of things like fishing, and they're just in the midst. We've got cattail fabric, and we've got yarn, and we've got these cats that are doing silly things like fishing. And so these are really fun. Now, wouldn't that still be really beautiful? And we use this gorgeous tote behind it. So I was just so excited when I found this because I just saw so many different things. So I was talking about layer cakes, and this is everything but the kitchen sink. And so we've got layer cakes of that. We've got fat quarter bundles. Now on that one, I'm not sure we've got jelly rolls, but again, this is really simple. You can go ahead and do that. I wanted to show you, I showed you the pressed florals of the jelly, or the layer cake. And I wanted to show you, this is a fat quarter bundle we have of it. Now see, there's that fabric you saw on the top, but I wanted you to see how beautiful some of these fabrics are. Look at this. How pretty are those? And by the way, I will tell you, when you play with jelly rolls, you end up with threads on you. And you're going to see that in a second. My black little cardigan is all covered with all kinds of little threads. But this has beautiful burgundies and yellows and blues. Oh my gosh, look how pretty these are. I really like this whole set. And look at these little tiny lovely flowers on it. So if you have one of these patterns where they show you how to use the layer cakes, the nice thing about it is the fat quarter bundles will work for it, the layer cake will work for it, and your jelly rolls will work for it. And that is true of Snow Blossoms from Amanda Murphy. And as I said, we just got this in. One of the really cool things about this pattern is, I just put that in the wrong thing. Not this pattern. I'm going to show you a different pattern from Amanda Murphy before we move on to clothing stuff, because I've got some really cool clothing stuff to talk to you about today. So we got this other pattern from Amanda Murphy. It's called Winter Wonderland. And we actually are going to get in some of Amanda Murphy's Winter Village fabrics in. Those should be in any day now. I was hoping they were going to be here for today, but we did not luck out on that. And this pattern, I'm kind of frustrated with the picture because it doesn't show nearly how cute it is. This is a better shot of it. So she's got the trip around the world center, and then she's got all of these wonderful appliques around it. And it's got these darling little houses. And I really like applique, and when you put it together with piecing, I'm over the moon. I think that's wonderful. Now, a lot of people are not fond of cutting out applique patterns. Well, in this, they've got a code so that you can get the files for, if you own one of the automatic cutters. I know that there's a couple different brands out on the market. I'm really not that familiar with them, but it turns out that she has in here files that you can just put into your cutter, and it will cut out these wonderful applique designs. Now, of course, you don't have to have a cutter. Look at these applique designs. They're really simple. They're not hard to do. If you get something like a Heat and Bond Light and you trace these and then you put it onto your fabric and then cut them out, you can use that method. You can also use needle turn if you like to do that. but I wanted to show you how nice and big the pattern pieces are. They're not difficult. So all of this is really simple. And if you are like me and you like the combination of something pieced and something appliqued, this is a really lovely pattern. And she did this in what I thought was kind of an interesting color combination. I think personally, I might make it a little, this gray and red. Some people really like that, but you certainly don't have to do that. You know, the wonderful thing about making a quilt is that you get to make the color choices. And so you might want to use a set of pastels right here. And then you can take this background, you could make it white and then put the appliques on it. And that will give it a really different feel. Another way you could do this is say that you wanted to use the darker colors, but maybe instead of using these kind of gray colors, you could just use a solid black. So that's kind of cool. So the last one I want to make sure we cover that I wasn't sure that, that I almost missed it, I forgot. But we pulled up the pattern online because I don't have a color picture of it. So I'm going to have Dave go over and show you a picture of this next quilt. And this is a kit we offer. It's called Venice Nights Kit. And this has all the fabric in it except for the backing and the binding and of course your batting. So if you wanted to get a quilt kit, and this is a very simple quilt to make. It has a center panel and then it has these gorgeous fabrics. And I'm going to have Dave come over here and show you the really pretty pieces that make up this quilt kit. So here's the center panel. Can we get that in there? Okay, so there's our center panel. It's got gorgeous, gorgeous colors in it. And Venice, if you haven't taken a look at Robert Kaufman's Venice line, we've got the entire line. In fact, I started to run out of some of it and I was able to reorder pieces of it. So now we have it complete again. And so in our kit, we've got all these wonderful fabrics. And we're going to get you back in here, Dave, and have you kind of do a close-up of these. And so there's these gorgeous, really rich, very beautiful colors. And they are on top of this real pretty kind of mottled cream. And then here is the actual kind of pieces of Venice that I think are just absolutely amazing. It's this gorgeous floral. They almost look like if you were really excellent at the kaleidoscope, the styrograph. What was it called? When we were kids, we had I think it was called styrograph, and you would put your pen in the design and you could make these gorgeous floral looking things and then color them in. This is what this feels like to me. It is so beautiful. And it comes in all of these really rich, saturated colors. There's purples and blues and pinks. I mean, it is just phenomenal. And one of the things I really like about this line is they also have some muted prints in it. And I think this is really very spectacular. So we have that and we have it as a kit. So you don't have to do any work. You've got this wonderful kit you can buy and it has all the stuff in it and you can make this. And it's not a hard pattern. It just has some stars on it and it has a couple of borders on it. It is not hard to do. And even the person who's kind of a beginner quilter, maybe they've just done a little bit of stuff, this is not a hard one to do, and it will be such a standout quilt. It'll be wonderful. So let's go from quilts, and now we're going to talk a little bit about clothes. Again, I know that picking out the fabric sometimes is the hard part. So what I've done here is we put together some kits for you. So we have a couple of, we're going to talk about a couple of patterns. and it's from the line called Sew Over It. Now, this is a shift dress, and it is meant to be made of woven fabrics. You can do this really cute little flutter sleeve, which makes it almost sleeveless. You've got long sleeves, 3/4 sleeves you can do. You can turn it into a dress, or you can make it into a top. And what we did was we included fabric so that you could make the dress, and you could make it long sleeve. Now, this particular fabric right here is a beautiful fabric from Cotton and Steel, and it is just absolutely lovely. And so it's a cotton lawn, which is a lighter weight cotton, so it will have some drape. And that was the reason we picked this, because what you don't want to do with a pattern like this is probably use a quilting cotton, because it'll be kind of stiff and not very drapey. Well, the cotton lawns are a little bit lighter weight, and I'm actually going to pull this back out again for a second so that I can show you that it has some drape. Unfortunately, with the quilting cottons, they don't drape like this. And so this will be really nice for an item of clothing. So if you've got a pattern that is meant for woven fabrics and you want it to be a little bit less, I mean, what we don't want to have is we don't want to make a garment that the thing sticks out like this and you look like you're wearing a piece of cardboard. You want it to have a little bit of flow to it. Very often, it will take a very special garment pattern for it to work in quilting cottons. I personally would recommend that you look instead at either cotton lawn or rayon. And we have a wonderful selection of both. And if you want to go onto our website and look and put in the word cotton lawn, or put in the words rayon, or go and click on our fabric drop down menu where it says fabric, and then over on the left hand side there's going to be a variety of different kinds of fabric that you can click on, and you can just click on rayon or you can click on cotton lawn. And so cotton lawn tends to be thin, it's sometimes see-through, so you may want to take that into account. The rayons will not tend to be see-through unless they're very, very, very light coloring. So if you found a white rayon, it might be see-through, but not likely. That fabric tends to be a little bit more tightly woven, and it doesn't tend to be really see-through, except for maybe in the most brightest of sun. So when you decide on a garment fabric, you need to put a couple things in your head as far as what you want. Most of the time we want something drapey because it will look more flattering. So let me show you what we picked for this particular pattern. This is a really cute little shirt pattern. It's meant as kind of a cover up at the beach. It is, so if this were a little bit sheer, it wouldn't matter. And the nice thing about this fabric choice that we made with this is it just turns out really cute. Now what they picked for the front cover was a cotton gauze. And we do have some cotton gauzes, and they would be great for this particular pattern. It's called Sheer Water Caftan. Now, I'm not sure why they called it a caftan because it's obviously not a dress, but that's what they called it. And so this top, which is what it actually is a really cute pattern. And it's really nice because it's meant for woven fabrics, although the way it's designed, you could certainly do it in knits if you're proficient at working with knits. And this would be a great knit pattern if you chose something like a linen knit. So this fabric that we chose for this kit is a wonderful rayon from Rifle Paper Company. And it has a really, it's got these different birds on it. Look at these, how cute they are. It's very summery feeling. It's got a lot of drape, and as you can see, it's not really see-through, which is kind of nice. Look at how beautiful that fabric just drapes. And this has not even been washed. So once you wash it, it will drape even more. It has a lovely hand to it. It's nice and soft. We have a huge selection of rayons. We have them in batiks, we have them in prints. I mean, we just have a really, really large selection, and we even have some in our discounted area of our fabrics. So if you are thinking about making yourself something like this particular top, this would work out really well. And by the way, the other pattern I showed you would make up out of rayon very nicely also. So that's sew over it pattern, the shift pattern that I showed you. Now, we have one more pattern to show you and one more kit of fabric to show you. This one is called the Vintage Shirt Dress. And the reason they're calling it a shirt dress is it buttons down the front. They've got two different collar styles for this. And by the way, you could make this where those darts weren't there, and it still would be a really pretty dress, but a little bit looser fitting. Darts do not have to be you do not have to use the darts on a waist. So if you aren't really the waist kind of person at the moment, which is me, I really like this dress, but I would probably leave my darts out so that it would hang a little looser on me and not really connect to my belly quite so much. So you could totally make this up without the darts. You could make it sleeveless. You could make it with the sleeves, the two different color styles. It's got a lot of variety. And one of the things that's really nice about this is that we've put this kit together so that you could make the long sleeve dress. And we have this gorgeous Robert Kaufman fabric that we did. And it is also a cotton lawn. Now, I don't know if you can see, but it's a tiny bit sheer. Not totally sheer, but it's got a little bit of sheer to it. So you may want to line this. And look at how beautiful that drapes. And how magnificent are you going to look for that summer tea party, garden party, in this fabric. I'm making one of these. They are amazing. And this fabric is just going to make you look like $1 million. There isn't anything on the market right now I'm seeing in the stores that will make you look as gorgeous as you can in this dress. You will look like everybody will be asking you where you got this from. Venice, we have the cotton lawn and we have cotton sateen. And both of them are going to turn into gorgeous dresses. We've got it in a really saturated red. We've got it in a teal color. And we've got it in kind of a multicolor too, that would work for a lot of people's colorings. And don't forget, if you are looking at this and saying, well, I don't really want the kit with that particular fabric, don't worry about it. Call me and I will put a kit, and you can tell me which. Go and look through our fabrics. Say, I want the vintage shirt dress by Sew Over It, and I want the fabric that you have, that Venice cotton sateen you were talking about. Would you make sure? And I am, you know, I'm this size, because you can see the sizing on the back of these envelopes. And we've hopefully included that on everything. But if we didn't, I'll get you that information so we can figure out what size you need. And then you can make the dress would make it perfect for you. So if you're having problems picking out a pattern, or you're having problems picking out the fabric to go with the pattern, ask us. We would love to help you. And if you want to come in and see us, we're here today from 10 until 5, and we miss seeing you. So everybody, we are open. Yes, we are asking you to still wear masks. That's the deal right now. And so if you can come by and see us, we'd love to help you. And you guys have a wonderful day today. Don't forget our website, universityofsewing.com, and our phone number, 812-323-2665. Have a great day, everybody. Happy Saturday.